The Conquest Battle Report. On this particular one, we are going to take a look at a game that I played actually last week at this point, or technically, I guess, earlier this week, depending on what you call a Sunday, of my Old Dominion versus a friend of mine, Kyle, his Yoroni. Now, particular Kyle is the store owner of Wargamers Guild down in Hamilton Township. I had to check. I always forget the actual city. It's off of 130, US 130 off of, I take the turnpike down because I'm further up north in Jersey, but down there. So for this one, last week, the week before, I tested out a list with the Profane Sepulchre. I don't think I probably played it that well because I wasn't super impressed personally. Um, so this one, I went to test out the Theokrator. I do think that's just, at least for what I'm thinking, the way I list build my current thoughts, I'm liking it more. I like the idea of it more, and I like its performance more, but we're going to get into that as we go along. Keep in mind, if you need to pick up that or anything else for Conquest, we do have a discount code, Strain Kickers, saves you 10%, helps out the show as well, and all that. The other thing, actually, I want to bring up before we start going through this is the more I'm going to discuss what happened, talk through some pictures and things. Is that the format people want? Do people prefer the long form? The problem I have with the long form is I can't really trim it down well unless I just cut out activations, which I guess we could. I could just remove parts and all, but like, so when we do something for, say, Heresy, 40K, those sort of games, since it's not an I go, you go, you can kind of cut the movement phase and pick it up. Okay, after we're done moving, okay, here's shooting, and you can kind of highlight certain bits. It's a little bit easier to do that with. Where here, you'd kind of have to figure out, well, what parts do I cut in terms of just, oh, this unit didn't do anything cool, I guess cut them. I mean, that can be done as well, but just let me know in the comments what you think. Do you have a preference of style that you prefer? This is easier to do because I can't always record everywhere with full audio. Not all stores are able to do that if they're playing music and things like that. It doesn't always work out as well, but I would still like to do that more. I know I haven't got a chance to do that lately, but just let me know what you actually want to watch or listen. I like doing either way, honestly. All right, so let's get to the lists. We'll start with mine. So mine, like I said, I'll scroll down actually to go to the bottom where it is. But I went with the Theokrator. I went with the Theokrator as my warlord. For anyone who doesn't realize, the Theokrator is essentially, I mean, he's on the big slug monster, but it's an Archimandrite. So it's the Archimandrite spells and all, and it has the Archimandrite Scholar of the Profane, its warlord ability, which essentially means that, hey, you can cast an extra spell. So you get it gets a free spell casting action. And then I chose to make it the warlord, so that way for turns when it's stuck in, when it gets in the combat and all, I can now do double spell, so I can attack and still spell some people twice. Give it to devoted to Hasley so I can reroll those sixes, because that's what I had the points for. It is rocking a unit of Legionnaires because it must take a regiment. It doesn't go in the regiment, it must take one. I made it a 4-pack, and of course I put in a Dark Cenotaph. I always like taking the Dark Cenotaph. I think it's very useful. Does it always work? No, it depends on the mission. Maybe I don't get quite the objective, but it makes it where a reasonably cheap piece can get me a lot of power if you let it, but if I lose it, I'm not losing that much. And a 3-pack of Bone Golems. We're going to, because of what, so the Theokrator mostly buffs itself, which meant for this, I was just trying to take a good amount of other units. Now, it does have some spells as well, and those spells could help things like the Bone Golems and all potential heals, but you're going to notice I took a lot of just 3-packs of things. Marash I did give Implacable, so that lets him use the action to break their lines to give Line Breaker. It doesn't help against Yoroni, but I built the list, and then we talked about what we were playing. We both did that. He also had an upgrade that does more about Resolve, and I don't have Resolve. A unit Centaur Prodromi. So little 3-pack of those. 4-pack of Cataphracti with the Hyratos. I will say, so the Hyratos used to give you Overrun. Used to be able to, you could charge twice in a turn, assuming the first one worked. And, if I broke you, when I hit you, I got to impact all over again. Instead now, you get to reroll your impact, which can be 4 with Brutal Impact 2. Shock, you could be on 3s. 3s rerolling. Okay. We all have the stories, if anyone played this army, we all have the stories of the time our Cataphracti leveled, 2 regiments in a single turn or single go. Or, oh, I just kept doing that. I ran across the line. Cool. The consistency this adds is great, because I've also had with that other one plenty of cases where I hit someone, they didn't break. Maybe I just didn't do enough damage, and now I'm stuck. And I'm not really going to be able to fight my way out of a wet paper bag. Where this, even if I don't fully destroy them, getting those rerolls means I'm probably going to get close enough that the normal swings will finish them off, or someone else can come in and finish up a little bit of cleanup. So is it as strong as before? Technically, no. But so the ceiling is lower, but the floor is much, much higher. And then we took, of course, a Higher Deacon, because I got to get up to higher powers. Higher Deacon sitting in a little 3-pack of Cultists. Higher Deacon didn't take any upgrades on, keep them nice and cheap. Centaur Kerkits. So I brought both types of Centaurs. These are the light shooting ones. And then a 3-pack of Kephili. And there it is. And a 3-pack of Keratids. I wanted some shooting in this list. I've run a bunch of lists that don't have it. I wanted the 20-inch shots. I wanted the faster moving 14-inch shots. And see what I can do with those 2 things. And still armor piercing 1. So instead of 2, but armor piercing 1's still really, really good. And with some deadly shot, which is nice. All right, so that's my list. Let's take a look at his Yoroni list. Okay. You're going to see in this a bunch of my models, because Kyle borrowed a bunch of my models. He's still sorting out his Yoroni. He might have had an extra upgrade on something. I don't think so. But I grabbed all the units, so he might have just been a little bit under. Yoroni do have a hard time hitting exact points unless you want to take different upgrades. Like, he had a Daimyo Warlord, and he put Kenabushi Dancer, which is the absolute right call, unless you're facing Ultimate Minion. Kenabushi Dancer, who anyone doesn't know, every resolve is 2 resolves. So anytime you cause a wound, it causes 2 resolves. I especially like that on my Kitsune Bakatsu, because she makes you take 2 resolves on 6s, which double goes to 4. And they did show that they did say that is absolutely the way it's meant to be. But we both built our lists, and then we said, okay, no matter what we're facing, otherwise, yeah, he probably would have changed it and could have spent those extra points. The other thing Kyle is still working around is starting to intermix his unit. So he wanted to test essentially, what did he have? We're going to see he has 2 packs of 2 things of Origami Warriors, because he really wants to test them out some. And I believe now he's really starting to play into the modularity. So this one you're going to see a little bit. He brought a Dai Yokai. We both kind of agree that Genya just seems to be better. He wanted to try out the Dai, though, and I do as well. I just want to try it out, see if it goes, and see what I can do with it. I do think it's just a little bit lacking. We both just discussed the idea, it can get that free duel. Keep it this, but don't let people refuse its duel. And now there's a competition. It's got a modular regiment of 3 Oni. He's got another set of 3 Oni. So his Daimyo goes in with one of the Oni packs. He took Ka, at least as far as I believe. I said that because I know his big boy added in as well. Because the big monsters count as all types, but they add in whatever type you are. That's another thing I think with this. You lose the problem is you lose Kenabushi Dancer if you don't take... The Daimyo is the one who can be Ka if you don't take him as Ka. But then he's probably sitting in a pack of Oni. It doesn't help him as much. So a little back and forth there. To Oyabun with Unyielding Kata. That gives +1 to Tenacious. He's sitting in... Well, actually, so Pack Origami Warriors. Pack Origami Warriors. There it is. He's fitting in a 5-pack of Kami. The idea is, okay, extra evasion. They're now Tenacious too. Just have fun trying to stop that. And then there it is, a 3-pack of Tengu Akiashi. So the Bowbirds. All right, so those are our armies. Now, like I said, for him specifically, he said he wasn't intermixing yet. We talked after the game. We talked about different ways to intermix. And he didn't end up bringing any Kappa, which to me, I think Kappa might be the best modular stand. The reason why I think that, as I pull up the next bit here, the reason I think that is just the versatility of what they offer. Cleave 1 with Flurry is still very good. Yes, I know it's not Cleave 2, but hey, at least you're Flurry as well. and what they can allow your units to do, I think is super, super strong. I think they're near garbage tier in First Blood, at least in my experience. But in Last Argument of Kings, I think they might be like the top modular stand for me right now. For mission, we were playing Maelstrom. So 2 9-inch objectives, the 6-inch sit in the middle. Essentially, rounds 5 to 8 is when the 9s count for more. So they're the 2 points. Otherwise, it's the middle one for 2 and the outsides for 1s. All right, so let's get to it. Okay, one thing you're going to realize through this is obviously I have more activations, which is important. And as you kind of see, I get my armies in a little bit faster. So this is a little bit later turn 1. We both autoed in. He autoed in one of his, got the other. The ones in yellow are mine. Those are the ones I've painted up. So we both get the things in that we want. I auto in my Hybrid Deacon, so that way I get my Plasma Soma turn 1. I can end up, actually, I'm pretty sure I do, actually, I think you'll see the next one, because of just distances, kill a stand to get a power, and then use Dark Supplication. There's a chance I didn't, and now it's going to bug me. I checked. No, I did not. I did think about that, though, because, hey, here's where I can get some power turn 1. The problem is, I would have done it if I'd taken the normal Archimendrake, because then turn 2, I can walk up. These guys are only 4 wounds. I can get a stand back. Because let's face it, he's not going to be in shooting range. They're probably going to end up wanting to go late, no matter what. But I'm not going to be in shooting range anyway, until maybe if he double moves, maybe. And I really don't want to pull too far forward, because the more further that I pull forward, the more likely he is his unit comes in, then smacks them down. So I'm really not trying to do that per se, which means that I had the time to destroy one model, one stand, and do that. But since I'm taking the Theokrator, and since it's a heavy, can't come until turn 3, I really didn't want to do that. So in turn 1, obviously no one scores. This mission does allow scoring turn 1, just we were nowhere near it. So that means starting turn 2, I'm sitting at 3 power, and we're in turn 2. So for turn 2, we're going to see I get a good amount of my mediums. I get most of my stuff. He really doesn't. He gets like 1 more unit. So he's kind of slow rolling, although unintentionally. Although that doesn't necessarily work out against you as a Yoroni player, because in general, you're going to be out activated. Which means that I kind of want you to have to do some stuff first. I want to see where you've committed. I'm going to have less units. My units are more quality, is the idea, than quantity. So I'd really like to see, where do you put your stuff that's going to be a problem for me? So as we can see, he puts a 3-pack of my painted Oni over there, standing right to go take a 9-inch objective on that far right side. So I get my unit of Legionnaires on the far left. My Higher Deacon goes, destroys one of the stands of Legionnaires. That's always a trick that I'd like to do. And then does the Dark Supplication. I do make all my Dark Supplications usually just by that single die. If they were not devout, then I'd be screwed, but I do get it. As you can also see, he pushes up his Origami Warriors. So I come in first, he pushes them up, and why not? He knows this trick. He has this army. He runs a store, so he has quite a variety of armies, but he knows this trick. So, hey, hit them, especially before my Dark Cenotaph can go stand on that objective there. You'll notice they're a little bit off from it, but I did measure they could reach it and turn a little bit, but I wanted to try to line them up a little bit more with this. His other Origami unit pushes forward as well. So he's now sitting in a decent spot with those, getting ready to slam into my own lines with it. Oh, okay. Actually, I forgot. It's the next turn that I get a bunch of stuff in. This turn, it was only my auto. I have a lot of heavies, but I missed pretty much everything else. As you can see, did a really bad job of rolls. But I am now up to the 5 power as we push into turn 3, go into 6 power. So at this point, no one has scored. All right, so as you can see, what he does, his very first action is, keep in mind for Yoroni, you can pick the card, but then you can choose what you actually do with it. What he does for his first action on Yoroni is this left flank, pushes his Origami Warriors in, and attacks my unit. Takes me down to a single stand. I don't think there was any extra wounds on that, but he took me right down to a stand, which means, hey, definitely don't want us to kill them off, at least not yet. And the problem is when I go, which was my very first activation, when I go, if I swing, I'm probably going to lose them. Or maybe not, but I'm going to be very, very injured, because if I get anything through, I have to roll it back. I'm only on 2s for saves, so it's kind of likely, or reasonably likely, that I'm going to take multiple wounds, and it's just going to be bad. So I decide not to fight with them. They hang out. They don't really do much of anything. You can see right now on the top side that he's taking his 3-pack of Oni with his Daimyo to bring them in right to the middle. That way he's sitting nicely on this mid objective here. He has this pack of Oni to go push for this objective here. And he's pushed far enough back to both give him, one, a nice reinforcement line, if he would get units in. That was a bit of a problem. Like I said, he was a bit delayed. And like I said, that way it clears it up. I'm not pushing past, which is useful for him. Keeping Old Dominion back as far as you can is a very good and valid strategy. So for my Theokrator, the proxy, as you can see here, is my Rakshasa, blanked card with taped together bases, because the Theokrator is on the 2 bases. Now for this, it's Vanguard 3 with a 6-inch move. 2 bases stacked end to end is about 9 inches. A little bit short, which means that I actually can come in from the board edge and still do a spell. Or technically do 2 spells. So what I did is walked in. I'm able to make it with that Vanguard. I do a heal spell on this unit to at least get a stand back, to try to at least tie these guys down. And then I do... oh, what's the name of the attack spell? Unholy Baptism. That's what I couldn't remember. So my thought is fight them down a little bit. The other thing you'll notice that happened is prior to this thing coming in, or actually I think it might have been the next thing that ended up happening, was my cultists. So this little bit of terrain right in front of them is an impassable bit of terrain. We did talk about it blocking line of sight and everything like that. So I sat behind that. They're now popping their way out. So again, they can shoot at these origami warriors. My hope was to free up a legionary unit to go stand on the objective, at least a single turn, get me all that extra dark power. So for one of the particular rounds, this one actually, my Hierodeacon, rather than doing dark supplication, did start doing its attack into here. So it slows down my abilities a little bit, but it does start actually taking out a unit that's, let's face it, in my way. But other thing you'll notice, his origami warriors are within distance of, well, me moving forward. At least I can take some pot shots at them. Nothing happens from it, but he obviously, since he can play the waiting game, he was going to wait. There's no way I was going to get much else. But then he's able to push forward with his Oni and take that objective. What happens a little bit later, he does get his bowbirds far side. What I get is my Carrotids right side with range to actually be able to take shots. So they are within range. And that's why you see one of them has gotten deleted. So he did pull up enough. I don't get tons of hits, but each time, actually, I think every time they fired, they got 5 or so hits. What you'll notice, what I ended up doing this round, my apologies for saying I shot there. I think I shot them in a previous round. What this turn is, I got about 5 hits, got about 4 or 5 wounds with the AP2, is I said, okay, I just need like an extra wound or 2. I'm going to turn my care kits, take these shots. They do have the range, and I'm able to pop enough wounds to at least take down one of the stands. Since his list doesn't have any healing, trying to remove his stands as best I can is the big move. On this far left side, you can see the Centaur Prodromi, and their goal, line up to go at the birds. The birds are good, but they're probably not going to destroy them, which is fine with me. And even if they do, my only goal is to tie them down. Keep in mind their 14-inch range that they're shooting, so for them to get into a reasonable range of shots. So you put them forward enough to at least grab the objective. But I don't mind move charging, because if I don't do anything else to you, I'm fine. Even if I get stuck into the combat with you. what you're going to see, there it is, in the photo now, as at turn 3, I pretty much got everything. He's still lacking a few of his units. 2 of his do not come in. He missed the rolls. So I have my bone golems. They rush up the middle. Their goal, go face against the Oni, since they have hardened 1, at least they'll be on 2s. But carefully here, this is for the counter charge, because let's face it, these origami warriors, I gave them a very nice looking side flank to hit, and then I could countercharge, and there's not enough space sitting between for him to be able to actually charge me. So the idea is I'll force you into this, and I can then force myself into the side. You can also see that I got the last bits of my army. You see them over here on the far left side. There's my cataphracti. I rode them up right behind the Badrami. Yeah, they lose, I don't know, an inch or so of movement. Actually, not even. No, probably about an inch or so of movement. But what's nice is this distance here is a move charge on an auto or on like a 2. And I do have that standard, so I've missed that before. Let me not say it like, oh, you never miss. I've missed that before, but I should make that. Because the idea is to leapfrog. So I want this unit to probably be the ones that go in and take them out. Because then my thought is, hey, my Badrami now are free. They can start moving to the side to deal with anything happening over here, or in case something else comes in from this end. But you'll notice, as not very surprising, I go down in points. He's got the 2 big objectives, although at the current moment, they're worth not that much. So, he ends up getting 2 points. I always put my opponent on Fallen Pantheon. I am now actually at tier 2. Through all the different things and losing stance and everything like that, I get to my tier 2. But I have no points otherwise. Then in turn 3, we go to turn 4. He does get the rest of his stuff in, because it was the auto in turn either way. You'll notice, now he had the choice of going first most of the time, except you can see the little Conquest token on the far right. This turn I won. And of course, I set the cataphracti first. His play obviously said he was going to do the birds first, and he was going to walk back. Because with the amount that they can move, especially off a Foo card, because the Foo is just a free move, and then your normal movements and all of that, he could have gotten out of range. He could have been too far gone. But I got it. The impact with that re-rolls, it does the business. It really does do a whole lot. So we can see, there it is. His origami warriors rush in, does a few wounds. Unfortunately, doesn't really do much, but that's okay. You can also see that my Caratids went and shot down another one. My Caratids and my Carakits also went shot. That's why he's down a few extra wounds. I think every single time the Caratids did 5 wounds. Well, 5 hits. It wasn't always 5 wounds through, but it was always 5 hits. I was just able to go early enough with that. So you can see also over here, I lost more wounds. I lost most of the ones I healed back, and then a little bit more. All right. So he brings in his Daiokai. He lines it right up here. Now, the one thing with the Daiokai, and it can be a little bit hard to see here, is this amount of space is more than this amount right here. Not by much. It is super close. And he tried to push as far forward as he could. But he's just a little bit off on the space, which, as we're going to see, causes him a little bit of a problem. Now, one nice thing that he can do, of course, is he can delay. So this unit back here, since he can go when it wants to, he's waiting for me to have to commit my bone columns up to go grab this objective. You will notice that his origami warriors did do their attacks, and they take out my legionnaires, which actually for me is what I want. You're going to lose units in the game. There's nothing wrong with losing units. And the nice part about losing this unit is the Theokrator hasn't gone yet. Now, from my positioning, since this was the middle stand, I really wouldn't have been able to attack it because I'm really in its front arc, which means I'd probably have to push forward, then attack it, which swings me wide, repositions me terribly if I want to do any of that. Or I guess shoot it, but it is like 5 wounds. There's not a great chance I get through it. But now that the Legionnaire's gone, I can charge it, and I'm straight to the front. And even if I can't get on the first bit, at least have those impacts or the tramples as well, I'll get through it. Which is exactly what happened. Now, notice, I am marking that I did some damage to myself. I was using that to give myself the extra tramples, just to be sure it works well. That was a reasonably common thing for me to use. Just get that extra trample, make sure that you got it. But that's about all that they can do. All right, he finally gets his last unit, his big old unit of Kami. They push forward. You'll notice he uses the Damashi. That's his Oyabun right now because he doesn't have an Oyabun. I do push forward with Bone Golems. He does push forward with his unit. He does 4 wounds, so almost takes down 1, but not quite. And then my cultists push forward, try to get me in range so the Higher Deacon can maybe cast some spells in, because there is a line of sight to this end. And again, I do, since I can only get to tier 3, because the Theokrator is my warlord, I wasn't worried about pushing too hard. On the other side, on this right flank, we can see that, yes, I do go into him. I take down 1 and a wound or 2 or so, and I do take 2 wounds back. Remembering that Tenacious, which did help quite a bit. And actually, sorry, I was going to say other things, but yeah, that's about where we're sitting. Oh, the other thing you'll notice, his single Oni moves back. I am now out of range. I'd have to move to shoot. This way he can be sure that he's still scoring. So I am grabbing this point. We are actually tie on this. It's exactly 3 stands for each of us on this middle one, but he's getting the other one. So he's at least keeping up ahead in points and keeping up any time that I'm scoring. And this is the pullback shot of that same exact turn, because it's kind of hard to see, but since the Caratids are far off to the right, you don't always get to catch those. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty good with where I am. It's turn 4. What you'll notice, my Badrami did rush in. They did about 6 wounds, because Kyle doesn't roll well for monsters. He even says it. He's always said that he does not roll well on his monsters. He'll roll well on many other things, but not his monsters. But I don't care what happens with them. This means I get to hold on to the objective. You're not getting the slam in, because I really want that. I want to be able to impact you. And the hope is that you kill enough that I can go impact you anyway. Or maybe they just tie you down for long enough and I'll just leave and go try to deal with something else. So that'll end this particular round. We end round 4. I'm now total of 1 point. He's sitting on 5, but my Dark Power I'm now sitting at 12. So we'll go to the 5th round. All right, for that 5th round. There it is. Sorry. Actually, he won. He won the initiative. He has this unit of Origami Warriors go. They take out that Kerkits. I have my Bone Golems go, and mostly just to get them the extra aura of death. They do, I'm not even sure they did wounds. I think they did like 2 or 3. They did very, very few wounds. I'm not at tier 3 yet, so they're only hitting on 2s. And if you don't roll 1s, you're not really getting that many. It doesn't really work out in my favor. As you can see, he ends up taking a few, but not much of anything. Now he does go, but this way my aura of death is higher. And you notice he does lose some stands, but I lose multiple. Now, yes, I'm hardened with like a defense 3, but since he's put me to 2s, not nearly as survivable as you would think. So he does lose 1 to all of that. I lose 2 though. I was down 4, so essentially I lost, well, because technically now I'm down a total of 6, so I lost about 12 wounds. It's a lot of swings, and when you're only on the 2s, then it can hurt a lot. So he's able to get quite a bit through. What you can also see now on my side, on the far right side here, my Bakefali go, they take another one down, and they take some more damage. Well, actually, no, sorry, they survived it this time. They didn't actually take anything extra, but I'm slowly whittling this away, but he is keeping me away. Which is never bad. It's a scoring game. All right. What you can see then, he does, honestly, a very, very smart move, something I would like to do. He puts the Kami, bounces them in front. they're too big now, so he knows he has this objective. He has a unit there that I cannot see. There's no way for me to see past it with any of my shooting units, even if the other ones get free. And what you'll notice, my Caracats do now. So before, I wasn't turning them. I kept them essentially fighting from the flank. So, what, like 6 or 7? Oh, no, sorry. 6 attacks. Because I didn't want to get closer. Remember, I only have Juggernaut, so they're an auto 11 charge. As I turned, he was an auto in charge. So I didn't bother turning. Well, now I'm down to 2. It's probably still pretty close to, like, you can roll it and get it, but I'm not going to get this unit blown up to get this unit blown up and so on. So now I'm fully willing to turn. You can see over here that his Daiokai does swing, takes me about 6 wounds off. So kills the stand and puts a couple, 2, maybe even 3 wounds on that far stand. But so he didn't inspire and swing because he was worried about just blowing them up outright. However, as we're going to notice in a moment, it unfortunately didn't help. And yeah, here's why. So I'll show it from this picture here. The fact he took down 1, when I shift over, that now gets me in a position where this far corner is in such a way that I can hit the model. Now, I'm not going to hit it nicely and square, but keep in mind, you only hit perfect if you can, if you're able to. Any amount you hit is fine. You can barely tap the corner because that's your legal charge because I can't cross my own unit. That's fine. You hit them the best way that you can. But then I get all that impact. So the Padrami had went. They'd done 6 wounds again. They rush in. My Cataphracti, they do the final 6. Unfortunately, it's not looking too good in certain aspects because now I have a unit, a little 2-pack, but they can now just stay on this objective and just score that out for the rest of the game for me. And my Cataphracti are now free to turn and start marching across the field to try to go affect anything happening here. What you'll notice is the Theokrator then charges in. Charge in, I get impact, I attack, I get multiple spells, do everything I can to hit this unit. I'm able to take guy down, a little bit of wounds. What I actually did with the cultists, because of how big this model is the cultists took their turn to back up. They were in the way. Where they were, it would have been an illegal charge because my base is too big. You need 9 inches behind you to make a legal charge. Because he's already engaged, so he can't try to close the door. I have to. So their turn, they walk back. Hyperdeacon just tries to get me a little bit more power, tries to do a little bit of damage, those sort of things. Nothing too interesting for that. Anything here? No, just a bunch of demos. That should actually do us out the turn. Yes. So I do get a point. He gets more. So he is high up on points because now he does actually, I'm not touching the objective. So he's getting a little bit more. And we're starting to get to the turns, in this case, where you get the extras. But I'm now at 19 power. I am at the highest power that I care about. So can't go to tier 4 in this list. This is, I would say, waiting until turn 6 is one of the longest it's taken me. Because you figure that's 6 automatic from Blasphemous Soma. Mostly because I didn't use Dark Supplication that often. I used it about 2 of the first 5 rounds. The other rounds I was actually trying to do other spells. I did actually twice try to put Bless on the Bacchefali. So that way they could really deal with these Origami Warriors. And I missed it each time. That didn't work for me at all. But we'll go into turn 6. So a few things that happen turn 6. I do make, I get the initiative. The first thing I go with is the Bone Golem here to hit in. Oh, no, sorry, my apologies. I don't go with the Bone Golem first. I go with the Theokrator first. I put more damage on it. I get the extra tramples, everything like that, because my goal is to take down the guys that are here. Because otherwise, keep in mind, Theocrators don't score. And this light here doesn't score. And this light here doesn't score. So I have a good amount of stuff, but I am essentially bringing in what, 500 or ish? No, no less. What? No, actually, the way I took him, probably about 500 points, about a quarter of my list. Can't score me anything. Can contest greatly, but can't score. So I want to leave him around. So that's my first go. I do take him out. He goes with his origami wars, of course, just does some attacks. I take a few more wounds, but unfortunately his dice were great at some spots, but other spots they just weren't doing him any favors, unfortunately. Charges in with this big brick. I just pull him. I just pull the care kits up. There's no reason to bother even rolling anything like that. And by distances, it is a tough move to try and shoot down there on the right side. So I have to walk forward. I think like one of them gets to shoot. I don't do nearly enough to it. But now my Cataphracta unit can have carte blanche just to start running across the field. And that ends our turn 6. I am catching up in points. I'm still behind, but I am starting to catch up. Because if you notice, he still has the one side. But now I'm getting essentially 3. Oh, sorry. And that is where we ended recording it. Because what happens, I guess I missed a photo. The following round, first thing I do, because I take the initiative, I'm in range after a reform to get in here and swing. Oh, one thing I missed, did carefully take out the one, because obviously we don't inspire, and then charge in. We do get stuck in. We don't do that much on this particular go, but in the following round, they hit me back. I do lose about a bull. I don't lose that many. Yeah, because I take like 7-8 wounds, but that's not enough to kill out 2. Swing back in. I do a couple bits of damage. This bone golem is obviously going to stand on this objective. The Badrami are obviously going to stand on that objective. And then everything else is just mad rushing its way over. And at that point, we said, okay, I shoot him off this objective. So I could, the following round, say turn 8, and it's kind of rush onto here. I could just rotate and do some damage in the flank. But otherwise, I was only down at this point by, 3 points. And I have a kind of unstoppable 3 points that I'm sitting on. Even if I don't get this, there's not enough turns left. When we look at the following 4 turns, I'm going to be able to get the points there. He's not going to be able to get his. The victory does go to me. We called that point because, like I said, there's unfortunately nothing you could do then. So takeaways, things I learned from the game. 1, the Theokrator feels pretty good. I think the Theokrator, of the 2 right now, the Theokrator to me is the way to go. What I like about it is it has that better defense. It's on defense 3. Its abilities work more on itself, so it can kind of do what it wants. The problem I had with the Profane Sepulchre is I felt, or Unhallowed Sepulchre, whichever one they call it now. It's the same thing, Sepulchre. I felt like I needed it stuck in the middle. Because it's giving out this ability, or here's a bubble, here's the stuff it's doing. But it's not going to do that as well if it gets into someone. So it kind of doesn't want to get stuck into combat. I don't want it out front. Because if I get it out front, 30 wounds sounds impressive, but when you're on defense 2, like I've aid 1, when I'm mostly on 1s, you're going to do, if you want to, you can do tons and tons of wounds to me. When I did play him in the other game, he ended up living with a total of like 2 or 3 wounds. Yeah, you don't even have to kill 30 because I'm going to put some damage on myself. On this case, you can see 9. The other one, I probably did 9 or 12. But he was just shooting at it. Okay, hey, see if you roll 2s. See if, or if you got some armor piercing, see if you can roll 1s. Oh, you took 4, 5, 6 wounds, that kind of stuff. You can get it. And I felt like it wanted to be stuck in the middle. This one, it has spells to help him out with. I did like him as the Warlord. I thought that was pretty good because once I was stuck in, once I was in a spot where I didn't really need 2 actions, I always had an action and 2 casts. And that's a heal and some damage. Or extra, or a death, count someone as a higher tier, or whatever the thing is that I need right then. That felt really good. And the fact it could just up itself. I could give it trample 12. I could give it +2 on the 1 round. It wasn't even because, oh, you can do dark power for destroying stance. No, I just need the +2 on the charge. I was so far away. The 1 turn I had to move, charge, and then, I could still do that free spell cast because he gets free spell casting action. Those sort of things. His other one, you can target one thing and what make them re-roll resolves. I just never got to it, and that's fine. It's not. I thought at first it was a bubble of like happens to everyone. It doesn't. The Sepulcher does a bubble like that. This one picked just one. Didn't come up. Didn't need it. We did talk about how Kozlis was, in my mind, suboptimal because he wasn't utilizing the mixing of units, but his goal was just try to learn the units in the army better. But for this army, you have to mix the modulars. If you're not mixing the modulars in your Oni, they're probably not working that well, I don't think. Oni probably don't need it. Kami, maybe not. I do like maybe putting an Oni in there to give them a little bit more punch because I don't think they punch as hard. But Kappas, mixing those around, I think are the sweet spot. The birds, they don't want to mix, but that's fine. Both the Bushi and Akayashi, I think, do really good jobs for what they do. But I think when you're talking about it, you want a little bit of mixtures, and I really think you want some Kappa. And the Genyo no Yokai, I think, is just better. Had he had that, he easily would have gotten through my Padrami there. Could have charged into this unit and just stuck me out like that. And yeah, I'm on defense 4, but he's cleave 3. Probably going to lose this unit as well. Now, can't say that's going to change the entire outcome of the game, of course, but unfortunately, the Daiokai just I don't think is quite as good. I think the other one's a lot better. But so the Theokrator, I really liked it. I think it performed very well. I think it's a good centerpiece model. I think it can push pretty well. I think if you don't care to make it your warlord, that's fine. If you make it your warlord, I think that's also very good. I'm not as big on what the Strategos does as a warlord ability anymore, especially because it doesn't give you the free reform. So I'm not as concerned about making sure I got one of those. And the Ziliarch is super good. He was my warlord for my other one. Double clash on a couple of your units is very, very strong. But I wanted to try this. It does change a little bit of the way I played because normally I do the Archimandrite Hierodeacon battery a lot sooner. It did slow down that battery a little bit. So I found it sort of in a way cost me a little bit of power early, but it got me a lot of utility and that stuck around. So I was happy with it overall. I'm happy with the way it performed and can't complain about it. So. All right, so that was this particular game. A few things, like I said. One, let me know if you prefer the other style. Do you like this one? Too long, too short? Anything like that. I'm always interested to see what people say. I made this one. I mean, I do enjoy doing this, but I also do this because hopefully it's of use. Show people something. Maybe they get something from me talking through what we did for the game. If you prefer maybe a style, maybe I can have one where me and my opponent go back and forth and talk about it together. Whatever people think is interesting, I want to try out some different stuff for this. So for other things that we're currently working on, I'm hopefully going to be going through the rules for Horse Heresy soon, so that way I can get some games in it. I know Dan's getting games in it. I know Steve's getting games in it, so I'd like to try to see if I can wrangle those two together to do that. For other things you're going to see. So, this is the last time I had the proxy one, because the other video you're going to see is the unboxing for the Theokrator. He arrived in the mail courtesy of Parabellum Games for me the other day. I do thank them for that. So, probably about a day after this, you're going to see the unboxing for that. I'm going to be working on that guy this week. I do have a few other videos. This week is less nuts than some of the other ones have been, and I'm starting to get back into work mode. I was in summer mode for a while. Not that I was doing anything that cool, but I wasn't. Actually, I spent the week. Give me a second. I'll pull a model up, because why not? I spent at least about a day and a half painting this guy up. So his hair piece is over there. I wasn't sure if I liked it more or not. So I asked my wife, is it better with or without? And she said he's better with. So he is going to get that hair piece. That, and I have like 9 Kappa. So painting up all of those, painting up extra Oni, painting up all kinds of things. My hope is before I start working as much again, to have most of my stuff painted that I have around here. You can see some painted, mostly painted, but some unpainted models over there as well. And a whole bunch of stuff upstairs. So you got this video, you'll get that one. Got another 1 or 2 that I'm working on as well. Hopefully get a few of those very soon. And as we start getting back into work mode, it means that I get back into a much more regular schedule and a lot more recording. Actually, at this point, I was able to finish up Expedition 33 fully. So that's now done. I'm actually going through High on Life, I think is the name of it, which is actually really good. And at some point, I have to get to Dark Standing, but the second one. But a couple of those other things that I mostly just do during the summer are now starting to alleviate. Like video games, I like to play them, but I mostly just do that during summer when I have the time. This kind of stuff I do all the time around. The other thing is, let me know if you have any interest in First Blood stuff, because I've been in First Blood League, been playing some of that. So if you'd like some thoughts on First Blood, I know it's not covered as much. So if that's of interest, let us know. All right, well, on behalf of everyone on the show then, have some good hobbying. It's a great gaming.